Hey, so today has been a good day. Just a little bit of update on a couple things, but I want to give some context to something first. Today's been a good day, but like I said, so yesterday was not a good day. It was actually a really, really dark day. I know that we've all had those days where things just kind of hit you, right? Especially when things pile on, thing after thing after thing over a long period of time. Sometimes it just hits you, right? It just hits you like a ton of bricks. And yesterday was one of those days for me. I just felt really dark. I couldn't really explain why. I was just thinking about the last year, to be honest, because we're coming up. Tomorrow will be 1 year since I lost my first job due to strategic changes, and I did not think I'd be in this position where I'm still out of work. Um, Again, luckily we've been blessed, and I've had the means to provide for my family um, during these 12 months of me not being able to work. I consider that a blessing. But yeah, I didn't think I'd be here, and I think, so we can never forecast for the future, but I just got to a really dark place thinking that it's never going to end, and ironically enough, I had an interview yesterday scheduled with a company, and I had been in that interview was scheduled for 2 o'clock, around 2 o'clock, and I went to the gym with my wife. Did some prep work the day before that, just researching the company, researching, just prepping my talking points as what I thought we would be talking about as related to the role, and yeah, I just coming home from the gym, even going to the gym, waking up that morning, I just didn't feel good. I didn't feel great, and I'm one of those people. I'm a person that will bootstrap. I'm like, if I don't feel good, forget it. Like, I don't care. I will still do it. I will still do the work. Um, and I've always been taught to suppress my emotions. Just the way I was raised, like, it doesn't matter, tough, right? Like, we all hear that, tough, and I believe there is a place for that. And it's gotten me as I've gotten thus far, which again, I don't think I've accomplished anything great, but it's got me to this point in my career. Just tough. Yeah, you don't like it, do it anyway. And I don't think that will ever go away. There's always a place for doing things you don't want to do. Um, but again, there are times I think where it gets so dark where you need to stand still. I need to recoup, refocus. And this goes back to the video I was talking about. I think it was yesterday or the day before, where it's being able to recover and being able to allow yourself to, again, just recover and recoup and be ready to give it 110% the next time. But yeah, it's so kind of ironic though. I was feeling this way the whole time I was talking to my wife right before the interview, and I was kind of in a phase where I was just like, you know what, I just don't want to do this interview. I don't want to go through another one of these. I've been through over the last year 3 dozen interviews, and it's always gotten to the point where some of them have gotten really, really far, even 7 interviews in at one point, and then just takes 2 months to go through that process, and like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I was in a dark, dark place. Like, it's not going to end, and we're gonna go into a place of like, maybe, are we gonna not be able to make payments on our house? Are we not going to be able to buy food? And all these types of fears crept into my mind right before the interview. And I was kind of talking about this to my wife, venting, and my wife's a sweetheart. She'll listen to me sometimes. I'm sure we all have that person that, for me, it's my wife. I never really had someone growing up that I could just talk to and tell my emotions to without feeling judged, and my wife has always been there for me. And I was telling her this stuff, and ironically enough, right as I sat down for the interview, just like in this mentality of like, I just don't care. I have nothing to prove to this person. I know what I've done over the last near decade. And I'm so sick of people telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about when I've been doing this for 10 years, like, again, near 10 years, 8, 9 years. Right. And like, who are they to determine my value? And I know that I would kill any job that I would get because of not only the skills that I've acquired, but just because of the mindset that I have. As it regards to facing anything that if I haven't done it before, I will do everything I can to figure it out. I find myself resourceful that way. And I don't say that arrogantly. That's kind of what's got me, again, this bootstrap mentality, like, figure it out. Let's, keep pushing. That's what's got me to this point. But again, I sat down for the interview and I was like, you know what, I'm not even going to try to prove anything to her. It's probably nothing's going to happen for this interview anyway. And then I sat there for literally 15 minutes. And this just added to my frustration because the person that was supposed to interview me didn't even show up. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is ridiculous. Like, again, for those of you that are faith-based, I'm wondering, like, what is this? Obviously, sometimes the world is just random. When we say, I do believe things happen for a reason, I am of the mentality that sometimes life just happens because that's the nature of the world that we live in. It's not necessarily God's hand doing things, because I don't believe God can impede or again, impede our agency, our ability to choose, or people's ability to choose. I think he can influence things, but he can't just, again, I don't want to go down a theological path here in any way for those of you that aren't religious, but I don't think everything happens for a reason. I think it can happen for a reason based on how you react to it. When challenges and trials happen, like, it's up to you to figure out how best to react to that, and you can grow as a result of that. And I think that's, whether you're faith or not, I think you can see the truth in that. But yeah, so it's like 15 minutes. She didn't show up. And my wife comes in, she's like, hey, she knocked on the door. She's like, hey, are you not having your interview, or what's going on? And like, she didn't even show up, the person that was supposed to interview me. And again, it just added to my frustration and to just this feeling of just deep darkness is how I can describe it, and just wanting to give up, which is something I'm not accustomed to feeling a lot of times. And anyway, as I was talking to my wife, another 10 minutes went by after this interview didn't occur, and the hiring manager emailed me saying, hey, sorry, I have an internet outage. And we actually had the interview today. So we rescheduled it for today, and it went very, very well. I feel like it did. But I will say I was not nearly, like I said, today's a good day, and I was in a way different headspace, even from the start of today, than I was yesterday. And I think the point of what I'm trying to say here, guys, is life is a roller coaster. You need to be able to ride the highs and be able to ride the highs down so you can actually coast through those lows. And it's not fun. And I do believe that there is an opposition in all things for how happy, if you have the potential to feel happy, you have the equal potential to feel sad. Kind of give an example of that. When I believe, like, since I have 2 kids, with my kids, I was able to feel a joy or a happiness, is how I can describe it, that I otherwise would never be able to feel if I didn't have kids. Now, I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just I was responsible for another human being, and to care for that and to nurture that. And there's a feeling of happiness that comes from that you can't fake. As you probably saw my dog wander around here, taking care of something, I think, nurturing something, but nurturing another human being whose life is very dependent on you, and a lot of things that they're going to learn from you, good and bad, just with things you say and things that you do or things you don't do. But again, I can feel that equal amount of sadness, right? Because I can feel this joy of raising a child, I can also feel the joy of losing that child. Heaven forbid that one of my kids got sick, deathly ill, and passed away. And that's something that you can never describe to somebody that doesn't have kids or has never, even if you have kids, you have a better potential of understanding how that may feel. So that's what I mean, is you can feel, for every high you feel, there's an opposite low that you will have the potential to feel one day. And so what I'm trying to say is to that, like, yesterday was my low. One of the lowest days that I've had for the last 12 months. I'm grateful that I was able to make it past that, but the phrase that's coming to my mind is that whatever you're going through, whatever you're passing through, you probably have heard the phrase, it's not come to stay, it has come to pass. It has come to pass. It will move, it will go away, it will move on, but you just need to keep going. One thing that I say or two things that I say to my kids every night we go to bed, I do pray with my kids individually. We take turns, they say a prayer or I say a prayer. We say our family prayers at night, but I pray with them each at their bedside. Just something that we do as a tradition for me as their father. But whether it's before or after that prayer, and usually it's after, but there's two things that I say. Do we give up? No. Can we do hard things? Yes. We're here to learn not to give up, guys. And that's being willing to pass through hard things. And I'm not at the end of my journey, and I want to continue sharing my journey a little bit day to day. But those things will not stay. They will pass. Going back to the contraries, right? The opposition. Forever that low, just know that there is a horizon. There is a high that you'll be able to feel once that's gone, that is at least equal, in what I believe is at least equal to that darkness that you felt. So again, this day was the complete opposite of that. But those days don't come unless you're willing to go through the hard, unless you're willing to taste the bitter, right? And you're willing to do that and not give up and acknowledge that, yeah, this is hard, this sucks. And sometimes, again, going back to bootstrapping, I think there's a place for that. There's just times you have to do things you don't want to do. But I think when we say that, I think your why, and this is something that's always talked about in coaching and self-development, but it's true is if your why is greater than your desire to not do something, I think you still want to do it in a way, right? There's times where even the job that I came down here to Texas for, that I worked at for the last 5 years, it was international, and I was working late hours. We worked in Budapest, Hungary, and also in APAC, like Asia markets, so China, Japan, South Korea. So I was waking up as early as 5 a.m. To work with coworkers and people that I was training and stuff in Budapest, and then I would be staying up till 8, 9, sometimes even 11 o'clock midnight on the worst case scenarios, working in Asia. And then I'd have to wake up early to get back in Budapest. Now that wasn't every single day, but I spaced those out in a way where it got really heavy either way, right? Wake up at 5 and then staying up till 8 or 9, and again working these 12-hour days. But my why at the time, like thinking back, when I think back, how did I even do that? Why did I do that? But I know why I did it, and the growth and the things that I was learning at the time was worth it. I speak Spanish. I served a mission for my church, and I lived in Mexico for 2 years. But the phrase that is called "vale la pena." It values the pain, right? I mean, it's worth the pain is how it translates, right? It's values the pain is how it directly translates into English, but it's worth it. And if you don't have whenever you're doing something that you don't want to do, don't bootstrap it unless you can really dig down and find that why. If there's not a why behind why you need to push past this, maybe you need to reevaluate yourself and reevaluate, what am I doing? Is this the right thing that I am doing right now? Maybe I need to take an inventory and figure out there's something better I could be doing. Or it's just putting yourself in a different state and acknowledging I hate this sucks, but these things are why I'm still doing it. And I've done that list, and sometimes that list is enough. Sometimes that list hasn't been. Either way, you can't choose the consequences of how you act. But I challenge you guys to remember that today. Remember, it's not come to stay, it's come to pass. You will feel the opposite again. If you feel down, you will feel up. But understand it, when you feel really, really up, you're going to feel really, really down again. And that is the dichotomy of life, right? But I love you guys. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. Is that what day it is? Tuesday. Also the Olympics. I'm gonna watch the Olympics with my family tonight. and then we'll get back to work tomorrow. But have a great evening.